So as many of you probably know, last week we saw the official launch of Valorant. It launched last Tuesday, coming out of the beta and making its way into the widely accessible world. That's what an official launch means, right? But now what I found interesting though was that as the week went on, I realized that I wasn't really hearing a lot about the game. Usually a game of this seemingly high quality comes out and there's a lot of excitement and talk about it. You're seeing a lot of posts on social media and online forums and all of that, but I wasn't seeing much of that. Now, of course, one side to that is obviously the fact that there's a lot going on in the world and online space is being dominated by much more important conversations than a video game launch. But I wanted to dive in a little bit further to see if there was more going on specifically in Valorant's case as to why it seemed like there wasn't a lot of hyper excitement. Like if I head on over to Twitch right now and I check what are the top games being played, Valorant, well, it's in the top 10, but it's only performing at the moment slightly better than Overwatch. That's a bit of a surprise. I would really assume less than a week after launch that Valorant would have been at the top of the charts, consistently in the top 5. Twitch numbers isn't the best barometer of how a game's doing and why it's performing the way it is though, because as we know, a lot of Twitch numbers are just personality based, and if there's a popular streamer that people like streaming whatever the hell game, that can skyrocket that game to the top of the charts. So let's not just look at Twitch numbers. Let's check out the reviews. How are the reviews for Valorant going? Well, if I head on over to OpenCritic, seems pretty good. It's got a strong critic rating of 81 with 85% of critics recommending it, and that is based on 14 submitted reviews so far. All right, well, how are things looking on Metacritic? It's actually got a pretty similar critic score here of 83 based on 15 critic reviews, but then when I move my eyes over to the user score section, I get whopped in the face with a 5.7, and that is a pretty big disparity between what the critics are saying is the quality of the game and what the users are saying is the quality of the game. And then, all right, let's check out the distribution. How's it looking? It is mostly negative, or at least to put it specifically, there are more negative reviews than there are positive reviews, and then a few mixed in between. So that had me curious, like what is it that people are unhappy with Valorant? Mighty Rex says 3 out of 10, I feeling empty when playing it. That sounds like a personal issue, but all right, sure. Stupid map design, unbalanced weapon, broken character skills, and hitbox. I review after playing 2 games with good KDA. This is why user reviews are trash, right? This guy's putting up a review of the game after playing 2 games. It does not seem like an accurate assessment. Developers should learn the meaning of the word balance. There are not many characters in the game right now, and it is very easy to balance them. They stole a lot of good points from CSGO. It's called iterative video game design, but okay. But for some reason, I did not understand. They did not steal everything else, and the result was not very good. What is this argument? So first he says, man, they stole a lot of good things from CSGO, but they also didn't steal enough. 0 score from this one says half Counter-Strike, half Overwatch, plus a little bit anti-cheat program, which players make insane. Slow, boring, smooth, yet somehow clunky. The guns feel janky. Honestly, it could have been made better in Gary's mod. I hope they fix it. See, and actually, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Like, slow, boring is subjective, but I really think that's going to be one of the biggest issues that Valorant faces, and it's why there is a huge player base for it, but there's also people who absolutely hate Counter-Strike style gameplay. It is this very specific, very deliberate style, and not everyone enjoys that from their FPS games, and that is something that Valorant is going to struggle with as well. I think one of the other issues that Valorant is having here is the fact that on the surface, it appears to be like a very friendly, inviting game, for lack of better term. You know, it's got these like this cartoony aesthetic with these like interesting looking characters that have skills and abilities, which I think is gonna pull in people from like the Overwatch crowd. But then when they get in and they realize that what they're dealing with is, I guess, not very casual friendly in the sense that it's like hyper competitive, requires a lot of constant attention while you're playing. It's not a bait and switch, but people are drawn into the aesthetic and the fact that it's a Riot game, only to realize that this is just like a super sweaty game. And I would not be surprised if a lot of these super negative reviews, people coming in giving it a 0, saying it's slow and boring and they copied Counter-Strike but they didn't copy it enough, and it's just like all of these reviews. Game feels like a brick. It's like CSGO but with a stick in the wheels. That's kind of funny. As a CSGO player with more than 3,000 hours in the game that grew tired of the broken state of CSGO, I was excited for Valorant because it was offering cheater-free experience. Sadly, Valorant is absolute garbage and it made me miss getting spin-botted in CSGO. Oh man. On a certain level, I absolutely appreciate how brutal people are with these reviews because it's pretty funny. I was very confused in the first few matches. The game looks and feels completely unfinished, very raw. Again, it's one of those things where they decided to go with this like kind of slightly colorful, almost cartoony art style, but they also made everything very flat. Can see how people would see that and be like, it's bad graphics. You know, I understand what people are saying here. More complaints about the graphics and the anti-cheat, Vanguard smashing your computer, graphics below the level. Piece of crap, I feel like I'm playing a cheap clone of Overwatch and CSGO. The game is so slow, you don't feel the weapon at all. Gameplay is boring. That is clearly a recurring theme. A lot of people calling this game slow or sluggish. It's the style of shooter. It's that CS style of gameplay, of very deliberate movement. It's not about running and gunning with like kind of what you get in Overwatch. You're zipping around, you've got blink and all. I definitely get the sense that a lot of people had the expectation, because this was called a hero shooter and they saw these characters with their unique personalities and the fact that they had abilities. People had this expectation, I guess, that it was going to be like a lot of other hero shooters, which are admittedly very mobile in a lot of senses. There's like a lot of fluidity and speed and momentum to the game that Valorant doesn't have. Valorant moves like a tactical shooter with hero abilities replacing grenades, basically. That's kind of more or less what it is. People had a different expectation to what this game was. That's surprising. If they spent any time watching any gameplay, you would have assumed it was pretty obvious, but review after review, you were seeing people call it slow, sluggish, clunky. Back to 2008, the game has brought nothing new to the gaming community. She does not have graphics and original gameplay. People complaining about the graphics, people complaining about the gameplay. It is constant. 0 out of 10, poor copy pasta from other games, and poor realization. The graphics are ugly. I feel like I'm playing a game from the early 2000s. The game is so slow and not dynamic. I mean, it's almost like everyone had the exact same script. You're just seeing in review after review, slow, clunky, boring, bad graphics. I can totally understand how people coming in expecting a more frantic hero shooter are disappointed, but I would also say that they clearly didn't do their research about what this game actually was, or maybe they didn't do any research at all because it's a free-to-play game and they're like League of Legends fans or Overwatch fans and they heard, hey, Valorant's launched, and they jumped in expecting one thing and were just clearly disappointed. Now, when I first sat down to make this video, I really thought the focus was gonna be, you know, look at all these people who hate Valorant. Look at how bad the user score is. Look at how many negative reviews. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it really doesn't matter. I think especially on a platform like Metacritic, where literally anyone can post a review, positive or negative, it tends to be the case that the people who are gonna leave the reviews are the people with a negative impression. Like, I know for myself, I never leave user reviews ever. Even for the games that I love, I'm not spending time going on Metacritic to leave a positive review, but it's much more likely that people who dislike a thing are going to be the ones to voice their opinions. It's the same with like online comment sections. You tend to see a lot of negative feedback because the people who care enough to leave feedback at all are the ones who are passionately upset about a thing, right? Most people are just going to view something and move on. Most people, on the same token, are just going to play a game and not take the time to leave a review. Let's, for example, take a quick look at League of Legends, one of the biggest, most popular games in the world. The user score is a 5.4. Now, clearly, that's not really indicative of the quality of the game. It might be indicative of some people not liking it. There's a lot of people with very good grievances and things they don't enjoy about the game, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It is one of the most popular games in the world for a reason. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying it doesn't have its problems, but it's probably not a 5.4 game. User reviews, I think, are important. I think there are times where they're very useful with the community voicing their opinions. I think specifically in Valorant's case, I'm honestly not that surprised by where we sit right now. I kind of expected this game early on to be have a very very focused audience to only appeal to a specific type of gamer and a specific type of first-person shooter player, and it's not going to appeal to absolutely everyone. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be a huge game. Other tactical shooters like Rainbow Six Siege or Counter-Strike, the most clear comparison to Valorant, are incredibly popular, and they have huge fan bases, and I think really one of Valorant's big issues with these early negative user reviews that they're getting is simply the fact that people had different expectations. When they heard hero shooter, they expected something more along the lines of Overwatch or of Apex Legends. Instead, what they got was a hardcore tactical competitive shooter. I don't think Valorant's going away anytime soon, even though the user reviews aren't great right now. I don't think that's going to be at all indicative of its long-term success. I expect this game to do well, but I expect it to appeal to a very specific and certain kind of crowd. So yeah, Valorant, I still like the game. I think it's good. I don't know that I'm ever gonna pick it up again because I really feel strongly if I'm not playing this game every day for several hours a day, I'm just gonna get shit on by random teammates. Maybe I'll hop in occasionally with friends who want to play together, but regardless of whether or not I'm gonna touch Valorant ever again, it's clearly a good game and it's clearly gonna have a strong audience beyond the nuance of how's the balance, how's the map design, what's the cheating situation, and how's monetization, and any other grievances or issues you can have with the game. As long as they don't completely mishandle those aspects, the base fundamental design is good, and I'm sure this game is going to do well. I expect it to do well, pretty much without question. And that's gonna do it for me today, so thank you guys for watching. I'm kind of thinking about doing more casual style videos and as such uploading more frequently, so let me know what you guys thought about this one. It's kind of more like I just pick a topic that I'm interested in and I talk about it instead of me sitting down and spending 4 or 5 hours writing out a script with bullet point suggestions. And I'll try to make sure that I don't repeat myself too much, because I know that's a problem of mine. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe out there. Take care of each other. These are pretty unprecedented times right now. There's a lot going on, but there are important causes being fought for. And ultimately, much like my favorite hobby of gaming has always been something that bring people together for a common love and a common interest, I hope just in general as a species, we can come together and find commonality and take care of each other and have love for one another. That's great, right? That's a good goal, right? I think so. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.